Hello and welcome back to First Things First. Today I want to continue on the lesson series that I did last week, where I was responding to a student's question about perseverance in times of stress. We talked a lot about perseverance in times of stress. This week I want to take it one step further. I want to talk about struggle as a form of stress, and I want to talk about it as a necessary piece of our development in the martial arts and in life. In Krav Maga, the analogy is very simple. Stress drills, where we actually put people under stress and we have them doing their techniques while being attacked and they're defending themselves, they're never easy at the time. It's a form of struggle. But through the stress drill and through repetition in the stress drill, the student makes themselves prepared for a real-life self-defense situation. And by the time a student is a black belt, it's amazing to watch and see what they can do physically. Well, I would challenge you to say that the same thing happens to us in life. In fact, I'm going to tell you a few stories that support the idea that struggle is a necessary and natural piece of the process to become who we're meant to be. One is a story that I heard from Napoleon Hill. In his Laws of Success, Napoleon Hill is talking about a story wherein he was actually a secretary for a very wealthy man. And in one of his duties as secretary for this very wealthy man, the man's two boys were off at college. And Napoleon used to have to write a $100 check and send it to these kids off in college. And he tells in the story how envious he was of these kids, how he was here toiling, trying to get ahead in his life and struggling and trying to get ahead in his life. And here were these young people off in college who had just been born with a silver spoon. And I mean, they were getting $100 a month, which at that time was a lot for really doing nothing. And he was envious. Well, as the story goes on, and I'll try to be succinct with it, but as the story goes on, when these young men come back from college, they're not prepared to take the roles that the father has prepared them in the company. And in fact, they're not really adequately prepared for any real success in life. You see, what's happened is the inaction, the complacency, and I'd say the laziness that occurred as a result of these people never having to struggle. Even some of the negative habits that they acquired through never having to struggle were all barriers to these people stepping into this cast in place and purpose that they could have fulfilled. They were meant to take important roles in the father's company. They were meant to, I'm sure, to one day take over and be like he was. Well, because they had not experienced any of the struggle that the father had in the development of the business, they had not been trained and prepared for the success that they could have had in life. And actually, they both have very sad endings that I won't relate because it's not really the purpose of this lesson, but it is to say that, this kind of thing actually happens very often. It's why we hear very often of second generation millionaires losing it all, or somebody who's passed a business and they can't do it in the way that the original entrepreneur did. Sometimes it's just that they have not experienced the struggle to make them who they need to be. The other story, real quick, is the story of the codfish. I heard this just this weekend, and I was really amazed with it. When they first started transporting codfish from up north down here, what would happen was it would get here and it wouldn't taste right. And they eventually figured out that the problem was that in the transportation of the fish was idle. And in its idleness, it lost its positive flavor. So what did they have to do? Somebody got the bright idea to put the catfish, which is the natural predator for the cod, in the aquariums or whatever it is that they transported these fish in. So that the cod would be running around trying to get away, being aware and diligent. It would undergo the struggle of facing its natural predator, and then it would actually arrive here fresh and as he was intended to be. We could go on actually and give a lot more examples. What I'm trying to tell you is that whatever struggle we are going through at any given time, because let's face it, we all do. We all face struggle. If you can have this paradigm shift and realize that struggle is a necessary part of making you who you need to be, then you can stop and slow down and say, okay, what am I supposed to be learning in this? Every storm is a school. Why am I going through this? What am I supposed to take away so that I'm better prepared to maybe even deal with the situation better the next time, or so that I am trained to take the place that I'm meant to take. I'm out of time, so I'll see you next time on First Things First.